와우. 때린다.
Somali's hideout has become the talk of the town, and you won't believe what's been uncovered about his shady activities.
때린다. 들어와.
Johnny Somali is now under investigation for drug-related offenses and assault charges. Authorities reportedly raided his apartment to ensure he wasn't stashing anything illegal. And what they found left everyone stunned. For months, Somali has been on the radar of powerful Korean mafia figures. This all started after his controversial antics involving the Statue of Peace, which forced him to go into hiding.
I go to jail. It's not a joke. It's serious. I take both of them. I got wife number 1 and wife number 2. I'm like P. Diddy. I'm like Epstein. I'm like R. Kelly.
He's been laying low at the home of a man named Hank, who's apparently a friend, or at least an ally. Curiously, no one knows how these two even crossed paths. Hank stepped in when Somali was being severely beaten, and, according to sources, also helped him hide the JK, reportedly to keep him alive. But the plot thickens. Insiders now claim that Hank received significant financial backing, not just to shield Somali, but also to actively damage the reputation of the United States. South Korean media outlets are capitalizing on the controversy, using Somali's name to stir up outrage and boost their viewership. It's become a national spectacle. What's truly fascinating here is how the politicians are completely refusing to lift a finger to help Somali. They're not just stepping aside, they're actively throwing him under the bus. Many are using his downfall to score political points, vowing to punish him harshly to win back public favor. It's all about optics, and these promises are making them look like heroes in the eyes of the people. In fact, some politicians have built their entire election campaigns around the idea of taking Somali down. If he ends up sentenced to decades behind bars, they'll come out looking like champions of justice. Their strategy? Push the police to dig up any shred of evidence that could nail Somali to the wall. That's likely why the authorities reportedly went all out in raiding his home, searching for anything they could use to lock him up for good. Adding fuel to the fire, there's an online petition demanding Somali's arrest, and it's picking up steam fast. The public outrage is snowballing, and every day the pressure on the authorities grows stronger. The situation is so tense that it's no exaggeration to say some people aren't just angry, they're out for blood. There's even talk among certain groups about wanting Somali dead. It's hard to deny he's brought much of this on himself, especially after repeatedly pulling the same stunts in South Korea. The guy has managed to provoke an entire nation, and now the authorities are scrambling to act. But here's the kicker. Despite all this chaos, Somali hasn't even been arrested yet. With emotions running this high, the authorities will have to make a move soon, because right now, the public's fury is absolutely boiling over. After his exploits in Japan and Israel, Johnny Somali is now facing a fierce backlash in South Korea. Authorities allegedly intimidated him before raiding his apartment, turning it upside down in search of incriminating evidence. What they reportedly found is nothing short of jaw-dropping. It's already well known that Somali has been linked to drugs in the country, and many believe he likely kept some stashed away in his apartment. But what's fueling the outrage isn't just his criminal activity, it's his utter disrespect for South Korea's values. Many citizens have expressed that they don't care about what he did in a store, or even his insults toward the president. What truly enrages them is how he mocked the Statue of Peace, a powerful symbol of the country's history. For this, they say, he must face severe consequences. The government, sensing the public's unified anger, is reportedly determined to make an example out of Somali. This could explain why they're working to tie him to the drug allegations. It's the perfect opportunity to bring him to justice. The entire country seems to be rallying behind this sentiment, demanding action against him. However, some are skeptical about the drug accusations, claiming Somali isn't a user, but is instead being accused of selling drugs to fund his extravagant lifestyle in South Korea. Whether or not the claims are true, one thing is certain. The public wants the harshest punishment possible for him. It's shocking that, despite this overwhelming outrage, Somali hasn't been jailed yet. People are growing increasingly impatient, and many are questioning why he's still walking free. The pressure on the authorities to act decisively is mounting by the hour. South Korea appears united on one thing: Somali deserves to face the full weight of justice. In a desperate attempt to manipulate the situation, Johnny Somali tried to stir the pot by posting a video flaunting what he claimed was a new passport. But here's the kicker. It was just an emergency passport issued for identification purposes. His stunt was nothing more than an attempt to provoke outrage, and, unsurprisingly, it backfired spectacularly. Now, Somali is facing the inevitable. His arrest is reportedly imminent, and he's set to land in jail soon. Desperate for a lifeline, he's been appealing to the U.S. Embassy for help, but even they seem thoroughly embarrassed by his antics. Sources suggest the embassy isn't keen on helping him avoid consequences, and rightly so. They know he's dragged his name through the mud far too often. Without significant intervention from the embassy, Somali's future in South Korea looks grim. Once his trial begins, he's expected to be completely on his own, with no support. Here's why. No reputable lawyer wants to be associated with his outrageous actions. Representing him in court would not only be career suicide, but also invite public scorn from the South Korean people. Insiders reveal that local lawyers are steering clear of his case, refusing to take it on despite any potential financial incentive. The consensus seems clear. No one believes he stands a chance of winning. Even if someone takes up the challenge, they'll face widespread backlash. Somali's reputation is so tarnished that any association with him risks becoming a permanent stain. It seems that Somali's options are dwindling by the second, and as the trial draws closer, it's becoming increasingly obvious that his shocking behavior has left him isolated and out of allies. His attempts to escape accountability? They're crumbling faster than ever. No lawyer in their right mind would risk their career or safety to represent someone like Somali. His reputation is so toxic that it's a losing battle from every angle, and there's absolutely no chance the prosecution will be lenient with him. Faced with this bleak reality, Somali's latest strategy is to play the long game. He's reportedly planning to keep apologizing repeatedly, hoping to wear everyone down and angle for a lighter sentence. But let's not forget, he pulled this same act in Japan. Back then, he cried broke, claiming he didn't have enough money to pay the fines, all in a bid to avoid consequences. This time, many are hoping South Korea won't fall for his lies. Adding to the theatrics, Somali recently claimed he's hiding on a U.S. military base under the protection of the U.S. Army. But here's the truth. It's all fabricated nonsense. In reality, he's reportedly being sheltered by his friend Hank, who's allegedly receiving a hefty amount of money to keep him safe. Their so-called mission of causing chaos and being a thorn in the side of every country they visit? It's far from over, at least in their minds. Meanwhile, the police have expanded their investigation to include Somali's alleged involvement in deepfake crimes. This issue has become a hot-button topic in South Korea, with authorities cracking down hard on offenders. If Somali is found guilty of creating or distributing deepfakes, the consequences could be severe. He's looking at a potential prison sentence ranging from 8 to 10 years, an outcome that seems increasingly likely given the growing pile of accusations against him. It's clear that Somali's days of evading responsibility are numbered. With so many charges stacking up, the net around him is tightening, and his usual tricks are running out of steam fast. Things have escalated so dramatically with Johnny Somali that his antics have now reached South Korea's parliament. That's right. His outrageous behavior has become a topic of discussion among lawmakers. During these sessions, they even reviewed footage of his infamous comfort women stunt, which left many parliament members seething with anger. Somali's blatant disrespect for the country's history and people has sparked demands for immediate action. Parliament members expressed outrage, pointing out that Somali's actions make it seem like he's completely fearless. His past bailouts by the U.S. Embassy may have emboldened him, but this time, it appears he's in deeper trouble than ever before. Yet, despite the mounting backlash, Somali hasn't held back. Instead, he's doubled down on his offensive rhetoric, even going so far as to claim that the comfort women were actually prostitutes. This shocking statement has only fueled more public fury and political pressure. Rumors are now circulating that Somali might be plotting to flee the country. However, legally, he's stuck. He can't leave South Korea until the government concludes its investigation and any ensuing legal actions are resolved. It's clear Somali didn't consider the long-term consequences of his behavior, as now he's entirely on his own. Even the U.S. Embassy, which previously offered some support, seems to have washed its hands of the situation. Reports suggest they've connected Somali to his family, but his relatives are reportedly at a loss over how to help him. After all, the evidence of his appalling behavior is not just overwhelming, it's been broadcast live for the world to see. At this point, Somali has burned every bridge. With the government, the public, and even his family seemingly distancing themselves, his options are dwindling fast. The arrogance that once defined his actions has left him trapped in a web of his own making. As of now, Johnny Somali remains out of jail, but the South Korean police are closely monitoring him while they build a case to ensure his eventual imprisonment. Given the current circumstances, there's no chance Somali could leave the country. Insiders reveal that during the raid on the residence he was staying in, authorities reportedly uncovered a significant amount of cash and other suspicious items. These discoveries are now part of an ongoing investigation, making it even harder for Somali to prove his innocence or even mount a credible defense. The tension surrounding Somali's potential arrest has spilled beyond police investigations. Rumors suggest that some inmates are already aware of his actions and are waiting for the day he's finally brought behind bars. However, there are whispers that the South Korean government might let him off the hook if the U.S. Embassy intervenes and pushes for leniency, though that remains speculative at best. Public sentiment is firmly against him. One frustrated observer remarked, "Usually people deport troublemakers. Why would they want to keep a foreigner who creates chaos? Him staying in a Korean prison would only cost taxpayers money." Another voice didn't hold back, declaring, "He's a terrorist. He admits to traveling to other countries just to spread racism, assault locals, and degrade their homeland. He insults their women, calling them whores, just so others can abuse them. This man is a terrorist." The fury isn't confined to South Korea either. Many in the U.S. are equally outraged, with some even demanding that the American government revoke his citizenship and ban him from returning. Somali's actions haven't just damaged his reputation, they've tarnished perceptions of his home country as well. His provocations and repeated insults have left him with few defenders, and it seems he's making enemies on all fronts. For now, there's been an eerie silence from the South Korean authorities about Somali's whereabouts. Some speculate that he might have already been quietly arrested, but no official confirmation has been made. Regardless, public patience is wearing thin, and many are baffled as to why Somali hasn't been detained yet, especially as his inflammatory behavior continues. His repeated doubling down on insults and provocations only worsens his situation. Whether he's ultimately arrested and jailed in South Korea or deported back to the U.S., one thing is certain: Somali's antics have crossed far too many lines. What do you think will happen next? Will Johnny Somali finally face the consequences of his actions? Or will the situation take an unexpected turn? Share your thoughts below. This story is far from over.